Hey, good morning, good morning. Ryan Hodge with FantasyLabs.com here, and we are doing a recap of the Week 5 NFL DFS slate. Week 5 is in the books. We are officially on our way to Week 6, but as always, let's spend some time. Quick review on Week 6 or on Week 5, just going over the lineups we made, what contest I entered that I'm in, how I landed on who I landed on, and then we'll take a look at some of the pros and see where they were at, as well as some of the winning lineups in the Millie and Juke and things along those lines. So, um, tell you what, let's show you just kind of a general overview of my lineups. You can see I had 13 total lineups across 8 different contests here. Couple three maxes, and then a handful of single entry stuff. I kind of changed up a little bit what I played this week. I played the Juke rather than a bunch of the different spies. I felt like the Tampa Bay onslaught was in such a strong spot that I wanted to be playing an even smaller contest so I could do full onslaughts, or at least use one more pass catcher than I normally would. I think an onslaught would technically probably have Fournette with the pass catchers and Brady, and maybe even like Waddle and Gesicki, or 2 pass catchers on Tampa Bay like Evans and Antonio Brown, paired with Tom Brady, and then Waddle and Gesicki, or Albert Wilson and Gesicki, or two pass catchers from Miami. But I really did feel like that Tampa was just the best team to stack this week. The Chargers and Cleveland proved me wrong, but you can see here that they were absolutely my favorite overlooked game stack. The percentages on these guys came in really, really well. 6.5%, 6.5%, and 12.6% for Mike Evans here. So this was my lineup in, or one of my lineups in the Juke, which is a $400 three max. There's 277 people, if I remember correctly. It's just shy of 300, right? Yep, 277. So this is the lineup or one of the lineups that I landed on, with Mike Evans and Tom Brady and Antonio Brown, and brought it back with Jalen Waddle, who just did not get there. What are you going to do? He drops a touchdown. It was thrown a little bit behind him, but whatever. I felt that this was fine. Once Parker was ruled out, when I shifted market share of target numbers between a couple of the pass catchers here, Waddle just saw a pretty significant bump for me, and at $4,800, I thought it was a phenomenal play, especially because it was part of the stack that I wanted here. You had a team with an extremely high implied team total, a team that's passing on like 70% of their plays. I mean, it's absurd. And a team that just doesn't run it a ton, or they've indicated and shown us that they have not been running it a ton down at the 5 and 10 yard line. And Tom is still getting his down there. So feels bad, man, to only come away with a top 20 lineup here, but that's what happens when look, and honestly, like in these small field contests is one of the reasons why I like them. You can survive these guys who give you 6, 10 points, whatever it might be. This probably wasn't the week though. I would be surprised if this guy has, well, never mind, 2 snowflakes in this lineup with Brait and Waddle, and so he had a little bit more of that onslaught with Evans, Antonio Brown, and both of his onslaughts did not bring it back. But when you have Mike Williams, a late return touchdown for a TD in the Giants game, and Elliott just absolutely smashing, getting a lot of the workload there. Like this will overcome some of those zeros in these small field stuff. So, oh, look at Horse Daddy up here, a Raven. I mean, look, he had a top 5 lineup here for 5 grand and had 14 points out of Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's just insane. If Kirk does anything, he's in line for a little bit better of a day. Had Evan Ingram as part of that Dallas game with Kadarius Toney and CeeDee Lamb, so we had this little mini stack here with no quarterback, Leonard Fournette. And it's a pretty solid lineup. And this is what I'm saying in these smaller field things. There's correlation here, like between Kadarius Toney and CeeDee Lamb, but I think it's a little in large field stuff like the Millie Maker, the slant, or even like 5,000 or 10,000. I think using another pass catcher without its quarterback starts to get a little bit thin. But in the small field stuff, you're just soaking up so much correlation that if Evan Ingram catches another ball for 20 yards or gets lucky and finds the end zone once, like, I mean, this lineup is definitely correlated in a game that we thought there would have been more points. And in all honesty, if Daniel Jones doesn't get knocked into tomorrow, this could be 27-44 or something along those lines. So it could have been even a little bit quicker. So I think a pretty solid lineup there in the small field stuff. Let's take a look at a few more of mine. I think I had a Kyler Murray and a Tannehill stack in here as well. I was pretty excited about the Arizona ownership numbers too. I thought that they would be great. And like, look, I was eating chalk at running back once Madison was out. I mean, I think I had like 69% Madison across my lineups. It's the highest owned running back. Had the player who I had the most money on. And I was also using Derrick Henry. And I mean, these are all guys like I think just they were very, very core plays, right? Like, I mean, massive implied team total, 47% of his opportunities and 37% or in 13% of his target share. Damian Williams was originally a core play for me. I still thought he was fine, but once we got the Madison news, I was all over Alexander Madison. And wide receivers, not too hot this week. DJ Moore, LaVisca, Antonio Brown, T. Higgins, and then went with Mike Gesicki with the news and Evan Ingram prior to the news. So, um, I think just part of the stacks here still got there a little bit. Ross Dwelly, super thin, but no Kittle. I basically was taking a stab there. And then this was a Tannehill stack. Jeez, this is so bad. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever seen a worse lineup before. 270 and there's only 277 people. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys just didn't enter lineups. No, okay, they did. That's brutal, but like that's fine. Whatever. It's these sometimes these stacks and these lineups aren't going to get there. It's definitely tilting when you're in such an insane spot with just absolutely nailing this call right here and it not breaking your way towards the end in some of those Chargers teams. But that's NFL DFS for you. So a couple of other of my lineups here we can take a look at because I did play in the SPY and some of the King of the Beach stuff and some single entry stuff. Had a little bit more Tannehill. Let's take a look at my exposures. So you can see a quarterback, Brady, Tannehill, Kyler, pretty evenly split across the field in those top three that I liked. And then at running back, you'll see that I had a ton of Madison after the news, and that got me away from Damian Williams. Just they were so similar price point that it made perfect sense. And Madison obviously was in just a much, much better spot. From opportunity, matchup, the way he gets utilized, how we know he's going to get utilized. We didn't really know what they were going to do with Khalil Herbert. Chicago, and I actually think he ended up starting to get some run towards the end, if I remember correctly. Still thought Fournette was in a good spot. So basically on teams where I didn't have Brady, I was playing Fournette. Derrick Henry, a core play, but was so expensive. He was hard to use, but still had a ton of them. And then Saquon, like, what are you going to do, man? Meaningless, like roll your ankle. It's difficult. And then with some of the Madison news, I was able to start getting a little bit more expensive wide receivers. You can see I had a lot of Kadarius Toney here, but somehow didn't win this week. I don't know what happened. I mean, just an absolute like gut week for me. And that's what's tilting. Like that's why I was tilted if you saw me tweeting. It was just like putting myself in great spots and none of it came together. So probably too much Visca. I don't know, man. Just a tough one. So these lineups, Devontae Parker, Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, obviously I didn't have any of them. They were just lineups that weren't used. I had a Jalen Hurts, so that got me to some Devonta Smith. Justin Jefferson was a guy who I really liked, and my model also really liked. If we take a look at the player pool, we go to wide receiver, and we take a look at the leverage score here. Justin Jefferson was definitely up there at 17. Hopkins, Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, Odell Beckham. The Chargers Cleveland game was really something that I just like. Obviously, I saw, because using leverage is something that I love, which is one of the reasons why like Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson are all people. Devonta Smith are all people in my lineup. But like, I don't know, man. It really wasn't on my radar. The opponent plus minus of negative 3.1 there. The over under at 46 and a half or whatever it was. Yeah, 46. Like, I just I didn't get there. Even though Mike Williams was like a phenomenal play in regards to leverage, like obviously his ceiling is just insane. If we take a look at like the quarterback rating, like Herbert was just so, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's close to Brady, but maybe this is a I know better scenario. I just thought Brady was in a much, much better spot, a much better opponent plus minus, better implied team total. So that's kind of how I got to Brady from even though my model wasn't super high on him, he just had everything else going for it. It's not like they were low either. I mean, I would consider like basically anything down here low. My model did not like Trey Lance, but it's a GPP model, not a cash model. So I don't know. Tough scenes. Definitely tough scenes. Let's take a look at the contest dashboard here, and look at that. Chipotle, Utica, just absolutely smashing in that 444 milli maker. So let's take a look and see what the field. Okay, so the field, this is the $4,444 milli maker, 767 entrants, a lot of sharp players in here, a lot of sharp action. Mike MC with a good lineup. I run into him in CS:GO a lot. Nice team, Mike. But yeah, Chipotle, the Chipotle brothers, another good week. They had a good week last week too. Devontae Adams. So like you'll notice here in this lineup, I had a Jones lineup. This was literally just to try and move off of the Adams chalk. There's nothing more to it than Devontae Adams is going to be 30% owned in this contest, and I think that's probably where he ended up. He should be on the winning lineup, I would assume. No, okay. Here, I think Horst had him. Yeah, 35.5%. I was just like, I'm gonna just pivot to an expensive running back that's not catching a lot of steam. It's a good implied team total. Matchup is whatever, and I'm gonna pivot away from the Devontae Adams chalk, and it did not work out. And I even ran hot. Well, I don't know if I ran hot with um, dude, what a brain. I'm just like totally lapsed with Aaron Jones. Because like AJ Dillon was getting a lot more work than I think we would all expect, but I did get that rush bonus. He took off for that massive run, like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter that got him to 18 points with the bonus, the 100-yard rushing bonus, and obviously those yards. So like I don't know if I ran hot or if I just basically got the outcome that should have happened, but like AJ Dillon catching passes, for touchdowns, like I thought that was Aaron Jones's role. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's why I was on Aaron Jones in that one lineup, just to pivot away from this Devontae Adams chalk. Anytime a wide receiver is going to be this heavily owned, I will usually, at that price point, I will usually find myself fading, pivoting, something along those lines. Like I don't mind some of the guys who are in like the 7,500 and maybe they project for like 15 to 20%, like a DJ Moore type of a play. Like those, I'm okay with that usually. But when they're this expensive and this high of a projected ownership, it's usually just a pass for me. Derrick Henry, Madison, obviously, CD Lamb, Fournette. Washington defense was just very cheap. 5 points is fine. Waddle got up there in ownership too after the Devontae Parker news. I'm curious as to what the Miami ownership would have looked like with Parker if it would have just been a little bit more flat, maybe like 10 to 12% between all three of those pass catchers, maybe Gesicki a little lower than that. AJ Brown, Philly defense. All right, let's take a look at the actual winning lineup here. What shipped it? A Tom Brady stack, GG, with Gesicki at tight end, Antonio Brown, and Leonard Fournette. No Mike Evans, though, so we went with the running back, wide receiver. I mean, it was just an insane spot for Tampa Bay to just absolutely smash. So this all makes sense. J Rob, man, looked good, running with some conviction. Jamar Chase caught that long tutty, Devontae Adams. So some correlation here between Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams. Obviously, the Tampa Bay game stack, the chalk running back who absolutely smashed, a running back who was projected for great opportunity at $6,000. I thought was fine, and then punted at defense. I mean, what a this line like when you look at this lineup, just like yeah, man, this makes all the sense in the world. Obviously, smaller field, higher stakes, so you're gonna get a little bit of condensed ownership, which I think is okay in some of these higher stake things. But like 10% on James Robinson, I think is great. The 6% Tom Brady and the 12% Jamar Chase. Antonio Brown 17% in this contest. He was only 12% in the $400 juke. So good lineup there. Joe Burrow stacked for 14th for his next best lineup. I assume this has a Devontae Adams. Yep, that makes sense. Visca catching that one ball for like 55 yards or whatever it was. The only thing he did all day. Like I had no idea he was lining up his retirement in week 5. Like, give me a break. After the market share of targets that he's seen, and then he just like, what did he ran like 10 routes. I don't actually know what it was. I'll have to go check, but what a joke. What an absolute joke. Here's a late Herbert, Mike Williams that shot up the charts. That was probably a 6 sweat for him. J. Rob, Alexander Madison, Tyler Boyd. Who did he bring back with Cleveland? Did he have Hunt or Tyler Boyd right here. Tyler Boyd. Oh no, that's Cincinnati. Yeah, he actually didn't bring anyone back with the Chargers. And I wonder if that's just one of these things where it's like Chargers have been tough against opposing pass catchers, and I think maybe Hunt here over J-Rob is probably what I would have done to bring him back. I'm just a big fan of that correlation. James Hunt. Hunt is a good pass catching running back, so I think something like that makes tons of sense in a lineup where you are doing a stack. So I'm not sure why he got away from Kareem Hunt there, but he did. Here's Brady in the number 3 spot. So he had second and third. What a smash day. And 7th. I mean, dude, talk about a heater and not getting there. That's got to be tilting, but still, great day. See what Giant Squid did. He went with Dak, so I mean, yeah. Kadarius Toney, Dak. Dak ran hot again. Derrick Henry, Alexander Madison. So you can see these guys just eating chalk at the running back spot because their opportunity and projections are just so, so good. Probably ran a little cold with Keenan Allen due to how quick that game ran. CD Lamb I thought was a totally fine play, good spot. I had a lot of him. Kadarius Toney. So here's another. Oh no, he does have Dak. Never mind. Yeah, so here's a little bit of an onslaught almost with Dak, CD, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz getting a lot of high value targets too recently. Something to keep track of going forward, especially if he's going to stay at an okay price point. The Kadarius Toney stuff I thought was great. Shout out ENJ300 for talking to me about Kadarius Toney very early in the week and getting him on my radar. Here's another one. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Alexander Madison, Keenan Allen. So another Charger stack. I got to think more and reflect more on my Charger. Like, just not on my radar in any way, shape, or form. Even one-offs with Mike Williams having such a great leverage score in my model. I never got there. I don't know. I wonder if it's because I had like too much Derrick Henry and was playing too much of an expensive running back to be able to afford 2 expensive wide receivers. Like I don't know. I'm gonna really have to go back and just kind of look that over. Or I wonder if it's just hindsight. I'm like, well, yeah, now I have to go look at it because he exploded. Well, we know Mike Williams has a massive ceiling. We know that he's getting extremely high value targets, and it's not just downfield targets anymore. The way he's being utilized in this offense, like I wonder if he's just an elite wide receiver every single week from here on out. And which is strange. Like I totally believe that. I wrote about that in the offseason and drafted him all over the place. He's one of my highest owned wide receivers in best ball. So like I think maybe I just need to kind of put him at the forefront of my DFS mindset going forward. regardless of the matchup. If he's got low ownership, I think he probably should just start being in my player pool. So I don't know. Fun week, tough week. You know, when stuff doesn't break your way, you're on all the right plays. In all honesty, and somehow it still just doesn't come together. It is what it is. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. You know, if you guys have process questions, like feel free to leave them in the comments. More than happy to answer some of those, or anything you guys want to see in videos going forward. I'm gonna start doing a looking forward video, so we'll basically take a look, like an early look at the salaries in week 6, and so those will start coming out on Tuesdays. You guys will see that from me. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace.